Looking good, Italian job.
Feeling good, Tommy boy. How you doing, brother?
Man, I've had a week, but a great week. I know last week I kind of vented and moaned and whatever, but we all ebb and flow. This week has been great. How about you? You doing well?
Dude, I know that we're going to get into it in a minute, but I gotta jump right off the bat with the good thing that happened this week, and it happened
Please.
this morning. I got to go on a field trip with my 2-year-old son to Cherry Place Farm in Rock Hill, South Carolina. My son got to sit on a tractor, got to go on a hayride, got to play in the corn pit, got to play with some animals, got to play with his buddies. And it was exactly the stuff that we forget about, when we're kids, how much fun it is to play in the dirt and
Yeah.
to see the enjoyment in my son's face. And then let's be honest, it's just cool to go to a farm, and it's just cool to sit on a tractor. I mean, I'm a grown man, and I still think that stuff's awesome. So yeah, today started off primo good, my friend. It was very,
Well,
very awesome.
and he's going to remember that. And he's two, right? I remember
He's
a
two.
couple of things maybe when I'm two, but one of them was a field trip with my dad. Living in San Francisco, and we went out and saw the elephant seals on the coast of the west coast, the left coast, and I still remember that vividly.
Yeah.
So good for you. And by the way, Corn Pit needs to be an F&G name. So if anybody out there listening to Stuff We're Trying podcast this week names an F&G Corn Pit, we want to know.
That would be fantastic. What a great name. And it's perfect for the season, so I guess in advance to the nation, happy Halloween, happy Halloween weekend, Eve, whatever it is. Happy Halloween. Go get some candy, go have some fun, be a kid.
Yeah. This episode will drop on October 30th, which, is kind of unfortunate in the sense that I'd love to see the nation's best COTs in costume tomorrow. That being said, set your clocks, gentlemen, because if you have not tuned in to an F3 Omaha COT, tomorrow's the day. And I say that as basically a dare. I dare you to go out and seek an F3 Omaha COT Namerama tweet tomorrow, because their costume game is on point. So there's that. Before I dive in, anything that you experienced this week that you would do differently to improve upon weeks to follow?
Yeah. So, last weekend I mentioned that our shield lock went out of town, went to the mountains, and got real. Let's be honest. I mean, we tore the Band-Aid off, threw a little bit of salt in the wound, and it made us better. And so I wish we would have done that sooner, to be honest. We got stale. And it was to the point of our conversations and our shield lock groups turned into very surface level, just like those conversations you'd have with a coworker or just a guy you run into at the grocery store.
The easy conversations.
The easy conversations, the weather, sports, those sorts of things.
How's your mom and them?
How's your mom and them? Exactly. So I wish we would have done it sooner, but ripping that Band-Aid off was a good thing. Throwing a little salt in the wound was a good thing. And because of that, we're better. So I'm throwing it back to you. Give me a 1 up. Give me a 1 down.
I feel like I'm echoing you. Em and I celebrated 19 years this Tuesday. And we never celebrate big on the evens and odds in between the zeros and fives. Those are the ones we go all out for. Zeros more than fives. But we realize, we'll get into this in a minute with what our topic is today, but we realize that we're really freaking lucky. We're healthy. We have a health issue that we deal with as a team through my M, and we take it head on, and it's, it sucks. Sure. Is it any worse or better than anybody else? No, we just deal with life differently. And we're glad to be a team. We're proud to be a team around that. And I say all that just to be like, we went and got away and played Topgolf. We went down towards your neck of the woods. We were in Charlotte on a whim, and just celebrated family. The work that she and I put in to what we have today. It was a 19-year journey. We have 2 healthy kids who are, kicking six and taking names, and had a great time. I've never swung a golf club in my life. I am not a golfer. I'm a soccer brat. That's it. I ran track in high school, but that anybody who ran track with me in high school and might have heard me just say that sentence is mad at me right now.
You wore the track clothes and
Yeah, I
showed up
paid
on
for it.
occasion to meets and things.
Yeah, I think I found a pair of track spikes at Goodwill or whatever. Um, uh, but we had fun. Like we just
Yeah.
had fun. It was about the family. You know, we celebrated that evening together by ourselves, out grabbing a bite to eat. But yeah, just like you said, it's those little moments we invested back into the thing. I got to queue twice this week. Pro tip to anybody who is queuing and has a winky that they need to keep track of: sidewalk chalk. I learned this in Columbia, South Carolina, when I went and visited those guys. Write out your winky on the asphalt in sidewalk chalk. Like, holy
Done
cow.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, solid tip. Additional pro tip: if you're at an elementary school and you're doing monkey humpers, maybe don't write that out in sidewalk chalk.
No,
You know,
that's a good
maybe just
idea.
write the word monkey.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was great. As far as one that I would change, yeah, that's a good question. We had an incident, or an opportunity rather, is a better way to put it, to engage somebody earlier in our region who's really struggling with some family stuff. And I will, moving forward, engage with that struggle earlier, because we are called to step in and be a shoulder or an ear or a nothing if we're denied, but we're called to ask. So I would have asked earlier. It happened Tuesday. I responded last night. I should have been the better man and stepped in earlier and just said, how can I help?
I hear you.
Yeah.
That's solid,
Which
man.
ties, yeah, it brings us right into today. You know, last week we talked about First F. Got a lot of great response. Some quick housekeeping, fellas. We're now going to drop these episodes on YouTube. So if you want to see our handsome mugs, it'll be on our YouTube channel, the F3 Nation YouTube channel. Something else to acknowledge is that stuffworthtrying.com is now live. It's a direct link to the Steve, specifically the Stuff Worth Trying manual links. So you can drill down into that curriculum. And again, this is a living, breathing document. So therefore, if you take fault with something, let us know at SWT, or at S. Let me try again. Third time's the charm. If you have any feedback, let us know at F3SWT on
Bingo.
Twitter. We respond immediately. That is a living document, as I just said, which means we can change it on the fly. We can add to it on the fly. We can delete from it. Hopefully we won't, because we it was out Italian Job, and I would say we nail it on the first try.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah. Ask my wife on that one.
Yeah, ditto. My wife just left the house when I said that. But seriously, gentlemen, we are in the business of unlocking men, and we can't do that if we think that we're going to be fine as static as we are. So let us know at F3SWT is Twitter. Stuffworthtrying.com is the website. Dig in, dig deep, and let us know how we can make this thing better and how we can grow it. Today's concept is fellowship, the second F. So if we back up into Free to Lead, the free workout that we provide to all men, rain or shine, heat or cold, led in a rotating fashion by volunteer leadership, and ends in a COT, is the magnet. It's what draws guys out into the gloom. The second F there is the glue. And we'll get into the glue today. So Italian Job, let me throw this out there to you. And I will say, look, we are freed to lead, which means we are a free organization to all men. If you guys are dialing in, looking for top-notch YouTube content, you're not going to find it. I am in my front room of my house, my living room. There are boxes to my left. There are boxes to my right, because we're trying to remodel. I have dogs sniffing and scratching.
Yep.
I've got kids running around trying to get better.
And TB, I've got a dog laying down at my feet. My daughter just came down and asked me, what color shoes are we wearing to trick or treat in? So yeah, we are not professionals.
That is phenomenal information, though, because I also see maybe a really cool like a, what do you have there over your left shoulder, maybe your right shoulder?
So I have
Looks
on
like a
one side.
spiral for a Hot Wheel car or something.
Heck yeah, man! I've got a pretty righteous Fisher Price jetpack racetrack right next to the recliner, which is right next to the
Yeah.
giant beanbag. So, we
Yes.
keep it pretty loosey goose here, man. It's more about the content and less about, how do we look and how do we
Yeah.
sound and how professional we are. We are a beggar showing another beggar where to find bread. We found
And
some good stuff and we want to share it.
that's what's important. You put out a tweet, maybe today, forgive me if I'm wrong, but that talked about, it's not about how we lead, it's who we lead. And I am completely paraphrasing, but I know that it spoke to me, and it's a reminder of the importance of fellowship, that it's not about title, it's not about tags, it's not about talents, it's about intention. And that was my awakening moment. And I'm speaking as a former Nantan. I know you're a former Nantan. I never saw myself being in that position. I felt like I would show up to this thing called F3 every day and just try to get better. I would have fun while doing it. I enjoyed the benefits of losing weight and making new friends. But never would I have seen myself in leadership until I realized that there is no bureaucracy in F3. Do we have a board? Yeah, we have to have a board. That's a necessity, because we have to have vision casting and planning, and guys who are passionate about that. It's not because they're better than anybody. They just, you know what? I have a bandwidth for vision casting. I'll serve on that team. Will you have me? Yep. But there's no pay. There's no compensation. These guys are doing it for free. And unlike many nonprofit boards that are, hey, thanks for signing up, now give us your list of contacts so we can go ask them for money. These guys are just asked for their time, talents, and touch. And that's important.
The way I worded it in that message was, in a world of permission slips, hall passes, committees, review boards, queues, forms, and checkboxes, you are told to follow. How about this? You are free to lead, see a need, fill the void. Ask not for permission, but act on volition. Unlock the shackles that have held you back. And the whole point here is, you're told to lead, you're told to follow, you're freed to lead. Whatever that thing is that you have a passion deep in your heart, instead of asking for permission to do something, do it. Just do it. And if you have to ask for forgiveness later, fine. But what we've learned with F3 is this gives men the opportunity that they've never had before to lead something. And it unlocks that innate peace inside every man that wants to do something and make an impact in this world. And in F3, we truly exist to invigorate male community leadership. Is the fitness part great? It's phenomenal. Is the fellowship part great? It's top notch. Is the faith portion, is it worth it? 100%. But we exist for those 3 F's. We exist to invigorate male community leadership. And so today, when we talk about the second F being the fellowship proponent, if I were to sum it up in just one brief sentence, it is unlocking a man. It is surrounding yourself with someone who encourages you to step out a little bit more, to run a little bit faster, to do the thing that you want to do, that you're too afraid to do, to be encouraged to do that thing, whatever that thing is. So the fellowship piece, how many times have you thought it, or have you said that I didn't know I needed this F3 thing until I found it? I didn't know I needed friends until I found F3. I didn't realize that the friendships I had were surface level and there was nothing to them until I found true friendship with men who are willing to say, dude, you screwed up and I love you anyway.
Yep. Yeah. And that's what's so important. Fellowship. Let's start with the basics, right? What is fellowship? So we can look at definitions. Fellowship is friendly association, especially with people who are sharing one's interests, which to me is a very gooey, surface level definition. The one that I found that actually applies to countries per the definition and the dictionary that I looked into: a state of mutual trust and support. And I love that one because it's like that rips off the Band-Aid. In order to be trusted, you have to be trustworthy. In order to be supported, you have to be supportive. So there's a give and take, or more. Both parties are reaching into the void of the unknown equally, and that in our 40s is very, very different. We'll get into that in a minute, and why that's so important, and why why that taps into the problem that F3 is solving every day. But let me ask you this: before F3, what did friendship, what did fellowship look like to you? Remind the listeners, viewers, how old you are.
I'm 38 years old. So
Okay, so
I'm
10
on,
years
I'm
ago,
on it. Yeah.
yeah, 15 years ago, what did friendship look like to you?
So, 15 plus years ago, my friends were my college buddies that I hoped I had kept up with. My friends were the guys that I would pre meeting my wife, I would go to the bars with. I would hang out with my buddies, or we were on the same sports team together, or we would tailgate on Sundays at the Panthers games, or guys I worked with. These were what I considered my buddies. And then when the world started shaking and the sifter really started working and things started to struggle, the thing about those relationships, those surface level relationships, they're built out of convenience. We work in the same place. We live in the same apartment complex. Whatever it is, we're about the same age. We're in the same fraternity. We live on the same residence hall. Whatever it is, those relationships are really built on the fact that you have nowhere else to go. I'm a guy, you're a guy, we're two guys at the same place. Let's be buddies. But when the world starts happening, I can't tell you the last time I hung out with my college buddies. I can't tell you the last time I saw these men, because it was a friendship of convenience. And I didn't know what true fellowship was until I met men in F3 who range in age. I have friends, true friends, that range in age from 15 to 75. And they're F3 guys, as my kids call them, as my daughter calls it, my F3 buddies. And you know what? Yeah, these are my F3 buddies. And you know what? They're my brothers. I would do anything for these men. And I know that they would do anything for me. And it didn't really manifest, and I didn't really see it until we were moving. And I had a huge place set in the backyard for my kids. And I called all these moving companies, and nobody even bothered calling me back. No one wants to move some giant cedar swing set. And I mentioned it in a pivot. Exactly. So literally, I mentioned it in a COT. 18 guys show up at my house with a flatbed truck and tools to disassemble and reassemble at my new house. Did I ask for it? No. I just mentioned I can't find anybody to help. And these guys took time out of their weekend to do this, because that's what we do. That's why we exist. And my wife looked at me and said, I don't have friends that would do something like that. And I'm like, I've got at least 18 of them who did and would, and I would do the same thing for them.
I think about, because it's been rebooted lately, and if you haven't watched it, do, because it's great. Wonder Years. So, I'm a child. I was born in 75. I'm a child of the 80s. Long live hair metal. And that was my vision of what growing up looked like. Like, it was tough being a kid. Your dad was hard on you, but for good reasons. Never felt unloved. I know that narrative is not true for everybody. But your friends were your friends. Like, you rolled up, you're in the sandbox, you did stuff, you got it done, rinse and repeat the next day. None of my friends' moms and dads were called Mr. or Mrs. Blank. They were, hey, Brian's mom. Hey, Dustin's mom. Is Dustin home? Can he come out and play? Right? Like, it was just a tribe. And I think a lot about what we learn, anybody who has been to Grow Ruck, for example. And I know, guys, if you haven't signed up for Grow Ruck out on the left coast, do it now, because it will change your life. If you have not done a Grow Ruck event, find the calendar, get it done. You want to talk about friendship, there it is. But back to your point, how oddball are we that we can have 18 friends show up before the sun shows up to help us pack boxes, load a truck, unload a truck, pack a house, and start to invest into one man's legacy in such a simple act of unloading, right? And to you and your family, it's like, man, these guys are like Santa's elves. They just refilled our brand new home, and we had no idea how we were even going to make that happen. Let's even go nth degree. We couldn't even pay to make that happen. We couldn't hire a moving company. Doesn't matter. It takes a village, and that doesn't mean just raising kids. It means being friends. You know, I'll blaze through this real quick, but before F3 for me, you know, it was the stereotypical things that's talked about in Free to Lead. It was my glory day buddies, my high school friends. You know, luckily, or I should say rarely, as compared to modern American culture, I'm in contact with 3 of those guys.
That's cool.
But do we hang out and talk and chat and all that all the time? Nope. So glory day buddies, I have a couple. Work buddies, yeah, but they're not friends. They're convenient, and it's a nicety.
And if this pandemic hasn't shown us anything, I haven't seen those work buddies in 18 months. And I'm not knocking the doors down to see them, and they're not knocking the doors down to see me.
Yeah. And there's a level of trust there where it's about niceties, and I can be vulnerable because of that level of trust. And yet I still won't step into the unknown. Right. And nor will they, and it's not expected either way. It's hey, I appreciate you, which is almost becoming a hashtag now. Do I mean it? Yeah, absolutely. Will I go beyond that? Nope. Because I'm holding my cards when it comes to work. Right. Glory days, work buddies, and then the paramount is the wife's friends' husbands.
The mandate.
Yep, mandates. Had those. They're fine. They're fine. It's fun to tell, pardon my French, dick and fart jokes, right? And that's all that is.
It's hey man, let me show you my new TV, and maybe we'll watch 20 minutes of the game. That's really what it is.
Yeah, here's this new YouTube video I can pull up on my TV now and show you where a dude gets kicked in the junk, and let's laugh at it awkwardly and not talk about things like our feelings, because that's weird. So yeah, the glory days, the work buddies, the wife's friends, husbands, had the whole thing. You know, I was very lucky in that because of a wife who was not a friend with my wife, but wanted her children to have friends in the neighborhood, I became friends with a guy that that friendship was strong before F3. And I say that because I think it's important to note that those can exist. However, I will also say that friendship, as much as I cherish it, and now we are both in F3 and our friendship is bulletproof. But prior to that, we never challenged each other to accelerate in the important aspects of our life. We got together, we shared things, we were vulnerable, but never ever was, I suck in this regard. Will you help me improve and accelerate in this regard? We never crossed that bridge. So I say that because fellowship, friendship is a bridge. You know, we talked about it being the glue that sticks us together, which it is. I also think that fellowship is the bridge between the first F and the third F, which is here we are, we're trying to get better. We're doing Merkins and monkey humpers and every other poorly named exercise in the Exicon. Where is that getting us? Oh, to know these guys, but that's the bridge to now what? And we'll dive into that in the coming weeks, but I love the idea of it being the glue as much as I love this concept of it being the bridge that takes us from here to there. So I'm rambling to an extent, but if fitness is the magnet and fellowship is the glue, then what does that even mean? Why is friendship important? So Italian Job, I'm going to pass it to you unprompted, and we can dive into it together if need be, but why does friendship matter? What is the crisis or the problem that we're trying to solve across America, across the globe right now when it comes to men and friendship / fellowship?
Well, you know, we're seeing it more so now than we've ever seen it before. Men are lonely. And though they don't raise their hand and say, I'm lonely, as a matter of fact, I saw something unique this week I've never seen, personally seen with my own eyes. There's a men's dads group on Facebook, and it's literally, the tagline is, why should moms have all the fun? And a man specifically typed, a non F3 man specifically typed, I've become somewhat of a recluse and I don't have any friends. And within seconds, Tommy boy, message pops up. Let me tell you about F3. Within minutes, there are 8 to 10 F3 guys in this local community who have reached out and said, hey, where do you live? I'll be there. I want you to come with me. Literally, a man was crying out, I am a recluse without friends. My wife tells me I need friends. And the men of F3 immediately stepped in. Now, you were asking, why does this matter? Let's be honest, Tommy boy. Men are struggling right now. For so many years and so many decades, men have defined themselves by their career and their job title, and then in the pursuit of the next rung on the ladder. And during the pandemic, men have lost control and contact of who they are. Some men have realized I am more than my job. The men of F3 have determined that. We don't care what your job is. We don't care if you're the CEO or if you're the guy who parks the cars. It matters not. Are you willing to put in sweat equity and try? You're one of us. But it was an upsetting realization for a lot of men who don't have that understanding yet, to realize I am a cog in the wheel and my job does not matter, which people internalize to say, I don't matter. Men are committing suicide at a higher rate than ever before. Men are drinking and using substance abuse to feel better, or a temporary feeling of, I've got it under control, or this makes me feel good, to numb the pain. Men are now realizing that they are broken, that they are missing something. And the void, in my personal opinion, the void that is missing in someone's heart is a fellowship with other men and a fellowship with their creator. What F3 offers is that fellowship with other men, men who will challenge you, men who will love you, men who will tell you that they will tell you the things that no one else will tell you. And then they'll say, and let's get better together. That's what men are missing. That's what men are lacking. And with this realization that's happened over the past couple of years during this pandemic, we are seeing more and more men come out to F3 who have realized, I didn't know that this was a thing. I didn't know that I had this void until I found you guys. How many COTs have you been in where a man has broken down in tears and said, I love you? Tommy boy, where else other than in your household would you genuinely say to another man, I love you? And when he puts his arm around you and hugs you, it's nowhere else in my life will I embrace another man and say, I love you, if it weren't for F3. And you know what I need? I need a man to tell me he loves me. I need it because that fellowship, it's a game changer. It's exactly what we are missing in society today.
Just knowing that you are a part of something bigger than yourself. Again, the bridge, right? Because we define faith in F3 as something bigger than us. And you scratched the surface in a great way, in that this sense of belonging. Oh, my dogs are even feeling like a sense of belonging right now.
I can hear it.
Because they see somebody coming home that they want loving from. But that's what we want, right? We want the loving. And I will tell you again, I hinted before, or I said before, born 75, child of the 80s. I'm going to speak off the cuff, honestly. When it came up to be what you just said, if I looked at you in the 80s and said, hey man, I love you, like, guess what I was defined as? Gay, right? Like, it was, not only was it not a masculine thing, it was demasculined. It was turned as an effeminate thing. And that's even, let me retract that statement. It was bastardized. It was ruined by saying that's gay. You're gay. Like, what does that even mean? We don't even know what that means. And we still use that term from time to time. But look, I'm not trying to be PC or anything, but get over yourself. Like, we all are born and raised to be in fellowship with one another, which means we are meant to be loved. you talked about depression, because to me, if a guy who doesn't find F3, let's use our terms, a sad clown, he sits there long enough in sad clowndom, then he's going to start to experience malaise if he hasn't already, which is just kind of the sense of blah, or as as the YouTubers might say, meh, meh. And then that meh turns into depression if it's left unchecked. When it comes to men, depression's no joke.
That's right.
And if anybody feels anything differently, I'll go toe to toe with you, because we have F3 Mental Battle for a reason. And if you haven't followed those guys on Twitter, please follow F3 Mental Battle. 77% of suicides every year are committed by men. 80% of those men are dependent on alcohol. 72% of people being treated for depression are women. But when it comes to actual, what's the word I want? Action upon those feelings, 3 out of 4, rather, 3 out of 4 are men. Men are driven to action by that. And that's terrifying. 1 in men are diagnosed with depression every year, compared to 1 in 5 women. Men between the ages of 20 and 49 are more likely to die from suicide than any other way. So when you talk about what the second F does and why the glue is important, I don't know how to put it any clearer. So, man, I get chills talking about this, because I came from a place where I felt like my lot in life was my life, and it wasn't a lot. And I joined F3 and I hated it for 5 months. And somebody that I didn't even know displayed a friendly gesture on a day that literally I was going to quit F3. I was going to run a 5K pre-F before the 4th of July workout. And I had it in my head that I'm not going to stop. I'm going to run my pace, and I'm just going to finish this 5K. And then at the end, I'm going to go home and never come back to F3 again. And my lie was, I forgot my gloves. I'm going to go home and get them. I'll catch up to you guys wherever you are in the workout. I had no intentions of coming back. I said that out loud. A guy who is now a beloved friend and a brother said, I have gloves. Come to my car. I'll give you my gloves. Well, crap.
Dang it. Dang
it. Crap. Got him, wore him, hated the entire workout, because this guy was strong. He was fast. He was handsome. He had a Mercedes, all those things. And here we are at the COT, and I find out something paramount about this guy who I put on a pedestal unnecessarily in my own head. And it turns out he just needed a friend. His son needed a friend. I just needed to shut up and not make this about myself. So again, the friendship was important. So anybody who is hearing this, if you feel like you don't matter and you're just showing up to F3 to get F3 points and to earn the F3 badge, there is no point. There is no badge. We need you to wake up and be a part of something bigger than yourself. And that starts with just being a friend to another guy. It doesn't matter with what your business card says, period. We are F3. Your business card is worth squat. What we care about is how you contribute to the thing that is bigger than yourself. And it starts with being a friend to a guy that just needs another guy.
Absolutely. So Tommy boy, I know we're running low on time. I know that we're running up against it. Let me ask you a question. What are some of the second F opportunities that you've participated in, you've heard of, you've seen on Slack, you've seen on Twitter? Give us an idea outside of the workout. That's cool, and the COT is cool. Tell me about second F opportunities you've witnessed or experienced.
Yeah, let's blow through it, because some of them are fundamental, right? When it comes to F3, cafeteria. Mm-hmm. After your workouts, are you guys circling up and driving a quarter mile, a mile, 5 miles, whatever? Are you grabbing a cup of coffee together and just sitting down, Yeah, we all got to get home. Many of us have to get kids ready for school, and that's super important. That's why we're doing what we're doing, to be vigilant with that. But are you carving out time, if nothing else, just to say, "Hey, great work today, man. I really appreciate when you reached out your hand to lift me up off the ground from those World War II sit-ups." Are you carving out to be like, "Hey, Scooby Doo, I saw what you did yesterday online. That was important. It mattered to me. I'm glad your business is doing well." Period.
Let's not kid ourselves, Tommy boy. It's also a good time to say, "Hey, Tommy boy, your Merkins kind of suck.
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
you might want to,
and they do.
you might want to man up." That's it's guys want to rag on each other too. A cafeteria is a great opportunity to celebrate and also bust each other's balls.
It's
Have
cafeteria.
fun.
It's hump day happy hour, right? That's an easy one. Getting together, post work, pre-family on a Wednesday, celebrating over a pint, glass of water, tea. I don't care, as long as you're coming together, right?
Yep.
There's no prescription, but getting together in the evening, talking to guys, just checking in. Here in F3 Greensboro, my favorite day of the week is Sunday, because it's open to all the families, the friends come together. We ruck the dog. So it's first F focused in a sense, which is kind of a lie, because it really is second F. It's just fellowship. We ruck 4 miles. We have the dogs not required. And we just catch up and we walk around the park, enjoy nature, be outside, period. I've heard cookouts. Shout out to guys like Dos Equis up in Princeton. They have post to pros. They work out, and then afterwards, immediately they go and they catch a pint together, and they just decompress. And maybe that's the word. Just how do you find a way each week with these guys to be real, to be vulnerable in a safe space, in order to validate the life patterns of other guys? Yeah. I am having a hard time with blank, and another guy will say, "Me too." And then all of a sudden, there's that vulnerability and validation that wakes up other men to be like, "I'm not broken. I'm normal." And here's somebody else I could tap into to talk with. So what about you? Like, those are some of my immediates, but do you have one that rises to the top?
Yeah. So I'm always a big fan of a CSOP. We've talked about that on previous, discussions before, but, shared suffering, I'm talking things like Blue Ridge Relay, Palmetto 200. It's a bunch of stinky guys in a van. Mud runs, going on these Spartan races. Those are always fun. Grow rucks, we've already talked about it in this pod, but, shared suffering in the gloom with your brothers. Grow rucks are great. I love a camping trip. Just the guys getting together, going on a weekend trip, if it's a night or 2 nights. Love the concept of a fishing trip. Love the idea of getting in a cabin, just hanging out with your buddies, playing some cards, having conversations. I've also heard of things like book clubs, men who get involved in the Q source and spend some time in the Q source and discuss it on a weekly basis. Some of these book clubs are faith-based. Some of these books are leadership-based. Some of these books are just interests that folks share. They're interested in history, and so they have a history book club. There's nothing wrong with getting together with your buddies, reading a book, or how often do you and I talk about shows like Ted Lasso? Conversations of shared interest and finding time to have those conversations.
Yeah. My first exposure to a second F was a book study by Tony Dungy. And long time here in F3 Greensboro, set it up. We met at a coffee shop for 8 weeks, talked about Tony Dungy's book. And I was like, wow, there's other guys who are trying to figure out how to be better. I'd love to see somebody in F3 Nation set up a Tony Dungy, a Ted Lasso study. It's out there. Google it. There are questions that you can dive into with these guys and broaden your fellowship and know that you're in something bigger than yourself and you don't know the next move. And guess what? It's totally okay. So here's the thing, right? We want to know what you are doing across F3 Nation. And I'll say it this way. I demand that you tag us in those tweets at F3SWT, because you are free to lead. Tell us what you are doing that is invigorating male community leadership in your area, in your region. Let us know. So that brings us up to the challenge worth trying. Do you want to share it? You want me to share it? You tell me.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Please.
But I'm going to be honest with you. I'm giving you all the credit for it. So your challenge worth trying this week is invite a friend. Doesn't have to be an F3 guy, just a friend. Invite a friend out for coffee or for lunch or for a beer or for a donut. I don't care. Invite a friend out to some secondary event and let him know that he's appreciated. Tell him what is about that man that you don't know that he needs to hear, but you need to tell him. Whatever it is, whatever you're thinking. But call that guy. And here's the thing, guys. If you're hearing this now, you already know who that guy is. You already know who you need to call. It's already on your heart. You're already feeling the tug. So now the answer is answer that tug. Take that guy out to some secondary outside of an F3 event. Go grab a beer. Go grab a sandwich. Go grab a donut. Just go do something and tell that guy what you appreciate about him. And don't be surprised if another man somewhere around the nation reaches out to you this week and says, hey, man, why don't we get together and maybe have a coffee sometime? You know what?
100%.
Say yes.
100%.
Say yes.
And I'll follow up to say that I dare you not to tag us in that conversation. Go out, make it about the two of you, pour into that guy, let him know that he's made an impact, that his thumbprint in some way, shape, or form is on your DNA, and you're getting better because of that guy. And do not tag us in a picture. Do not tag us in a post. Just go out and be a part of that man's life. I bet there will be stories 10 years from now where those conversations will have changed the trajectory. That's a word. Change the trajectory of another man's impact. So don't tag us this week, but go out and accomplish the challenge worth trying. Italian
Tommy
job.
boy, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate
Likewise.
you. Thank you for setting up, another great pod for the men. And I appreciate you. And I look forward to our next time getting together. Until then, be good, enjoy it, have fun, and do the right thing that you know is hard in your heart, ready to roll.
If I can't be good, I'll be good at it. And I promise you that. I love you, my friend. Love you, mean it. And
love
I will
you
see
too,
you
man.
next week.
Sounds good, brother.